want to play my 1988 Gibson Les Paul Custom Showcase Edition. And this thing here is pure magic. With only 200 of these made, only 50 of them escaped the United States, and this is actually one of those 50. Now we're going to be playing this quite a bit in this video just because I really like playing guitar. We're also going to be comparing this to 3 other Les Pauls. And just a heads up, things are going to sound a little different because I am trying to break in my Paul Reed Smith 4x12 HDRX with the G12H 75 creambacks, so just be prepared for a little bit of a different sound. But that's enough talking. Let's get after it. See, you can't do a review type thing on YouTube unless you talk about the specs, right? So let's go ahead and I'll try and do that quickly and we'll get back to 6 more sound samples. So starting off, here's one of the rare occasions where they had a non-weight relieved Les Paul instead of the traditional weight relief, which was 9-hole weight relief. So solid mahogany back. And then we have a 2-piece maple top, obviously covered in gloss nitro cellulose with that sparkle ruby red finish. For a neck, we have the glossed nitro finished mahogany neck with the medium C neck profile. And that has a bound ebony fretboard with the block inlays. On the front of the bound headstock here, you're going to find the inlaid Gibson logo and the inlaid diamond logo here for the Les Paul Custom. You're also going to see the truss rod cover says Les Paul Custom. The inlays here have aged, so this is like a browned inlay. So whenever you see like a custom shop reissue and the inlays have browned, that's why it's supposed to simulate aging. On the back of the headstock, you're going to note I have changed the tuners here. It used to be Grover Rotomatics with the typical buttons. It used to be black, but I wanted to make this into a gold conversion, so gold hardware. So I got the Grover Rotomatic non-locking tuners. I used to have the Rotomatic locking tuners, but I kind of got this weird thing going on with locking tuners, so I switched them to non-locking. You're also going to find the weirdest nut I have ever seen on a Les Paul here. This, what typically happens over years, you do end up you know, replacing the nut. And the person here decided to replace it with, sort of seems like it's a compensated nut. Just to help things, you know, so things don't bind up here. So it does help with tuning stability. But yeah, that is weird looking nut. I also forgot to mention it is a bound back and a bound top for the body. Now this guitar initially came with EMGs, factory installed. It had an 81 and an 85. Which is very, very rare. It's also like the hardwired EMG, so it's not like the quick connects that you get nowadays. I still have those, but I'm not an EMG guy, so I actually put the Gibson 500T and the Gibson 496R as pickups. And for the bridge here, you're going to see the locking Tune-o-matic and locking stop bar from Tone Pros. I swapped out the initial black hardware. It was a little worn, and again, I wanted to change everything over to gold. I did lose the original black hardware in the move to this house, which is unfortunate. But yeah, you'll also notice that this is in a straight line. I actually changed things up. I was gonna actually re-intonate it, but for this video, I didn't end up doing it, so that's laziness on my end. So I actually put everything completely straight here, which is not normal, but it affects things just a little bit, but it's not that bad because I changed my tuning like a lot. You also note that this has a pick guard. Now, I'm a pick guard guy. Some people don't like them. This did not come with this pick guard. It came without a pick guard, so I actually bought the Gibson Historic Les Paul Custom pick guard here, and the bracket was like $30 or $40 just for the gold bracket. And also, if you look, it has 2 volumes, 2 tones, and it also has pointers. This initially didn't come with pointers. I bought the Gibson Historic pointers and put them in, and I also changed out the knobs because these were just black speed knobs. But that's enough talking for right now. Here's 6 more sound samples. All right, now that we've heard those 6 sound samples, we're gonna do something here to appease the internet, because if you don't, it will actually turn tears into comments, and it's beneficial. I just like saying that. So we're gonna play this clean with all 3 pickup positions. Personally, I've always liked to see how pickups react with a little bit more, of a light drive or increased drive scenario here. It's always good to hear how they react. So here's that. Now, as far as potentiometers, these are actually just run-of-the-mill potentiometers. I did buy some CTS push-pulls, like the more expensive CTS ones, and a couple of the, I can't remember what they're called. They're the RS guitar tone pots, basically. They're super pots or something like that, but I never got around to installing them. I actually researched capacitors as well and bought some vitamin Q potentiometers, but never got around to installing them because these actually sound pretty good. There's no issues here. So let's go ahead and wiggle some knobs, turn some knobs, and hear what things sound like. So now on to the comparison portion of the video, because I think it's just always beneficial so you can actually hear, what one guitar sounds like or even looks like in comparison directly to the guitar. So what I've done here, this is a Les Paul Standard 50s. This is actually a limited edition AAA top, which they've started to increase the, I don't know what you say, value, I guess you would say, of their tops in recent years, which is very nice. But this is the limited edition AAA top. So this has burst buckers 2 and 1 versus the 500T and 496R. So these are much hotter pickups than these. So let's go ahead and just do a 3 pickup comparison. That way you can hear them. On to the next most logical comparison here, which would actually be the Les Paul Standard 60s. So this has a slim taper 60s neck, and this has the medium C. Now the medium C that's on here is not the same as a 59. It's actually closer to the 60s slim taper, which is different than a regular slim taper, which is a little thinner. But yeah, we're looking at the 61R and 61T, which are hotter pickups, not as hot as the 500T and the 496R. So let's do just a regular 3 pickup comparison. on to the final comparison here. So again, it's going to be a natural one, right? So you want to do a Les Paul Custom, which is made before the custom shop existed, versus a custom Les Paul. So this is a 1959 VOS, not a Murphy Lab. So let's, take a listen to both. Again, the medium C neck here is ever so slightly thicker than the medium C neck that is on this. This is a 59 medium C. There's different different shapes for the medium C for like different years. Like there's a 59, a 63, a 64, which 64 is technically closer to the 59, but things like that, right? So when you're looking at a medium C neck, this is like 3 or 4 owners ago of Gibson than this one here. So things get a little different. So again, 500T 496R against the custom Buckers here in a 3 pickup position comparison. So that's it for all of the different sound samples and comparisons and everything. There's not going to be any more playing here in the video. So generally what I like to do in these videos is tell you what I think about the guitar. And I have to say there's like 2 guitars that I'm known for, and this is one of them. How do I make it seem like I'm not anyone famous, I'm not anyone important, but usually if you say like Tricrow Studios or Cow Car Music, which is an older channel, or Cryptic Mass Guitar, if they know the channel, they usually say, oh, you mean the guy that has the green Paul Reed Smith, or the guy that has that wicked red Les Paul Custom? This is the one they're talking about. So this is an extremely good guitar. This has been one of my absolute favorites for years and years and years. I was extremely fortunate to acquire this guitar, but as of late, like, I haven't been playing it because I've changed to the custom shop reissues. I'm a nerd now. I'm broke because of it, but I'm a bit more of a nerd. So I like the 50s and 60s style guitars rather than this here, which is just a little different, a little more modern. Again, it came with EMGs, so that's why you haven't been seeing it on the channel as of late. But I want to give like a little bit of background on this guitar here. Because, again, there were only 200 of these made. So basically in 1988, Gibson did, not a contest, but like a reward, I guess you would say, for like the top sellers of Gibson guitars. So only certain stores got these. There were only 200 made. There was a custom light version that had 200. Like there was a whole bunch of different models that they did. And there were 200 of each. 150 of those went to the United States, and 50 of those went abroad. So some of those came to Canada, which is where this was purchased. I have the warranty registration card. It's a 1988. You know what I mean? That was purchased actually in 1989 in Long and McQuaid. It doesn't say like Toronto or you know, Edmonton. I got this guitar in Edmonton, so I'm assuming that's where it came from, but who knows? So again, this is one of the 50 that came out of the United States. I'm not sure how many came to Canada, but who knows? So this also came stock with EMGs. Again, they were hardwired, so they're not the quick connect that you see today. So there was an 81 and an 85. 81 in the bridge, 85 in the neck. I still have those EMGs. I still have the chainsaw case, the protector, as they like to call it, that came with this guitar. When I acquired this guitar, it actually, the previous owner changed things out to like a Lawler. I'm not familiar with Lawler pickups. It could be Lowler or something, I'm not sure. But I want to say it was like the Imperial or something like that in the neck. And then it had a Pearly Gates in the bridge. Pearly Gates was very nice. The Lawler was nice. But I wanted a set of Gibson pickups and I wanted to change everything over to gold. So that's why you're seeing this. And I primarily, even though I like to play a whole bunch of different styles, I primarily play high gain. So I wanted something with, you know, a pickup that was very hot. So that's why I went with the 500T and the 496R, because I think they're actually called like the Gibson hot pickup or something like that, combo. So I wanted the gold hardware conversion. Again, that's why I went with the Locking Tone Pros Tune-O-Matic and the stop bar. And as well, I went with the Grover Rotomatic tuners. Again, I still have the locking tuners, but it's just something that over the years, I found this weird vibration. I think I'm insane, but there's this little bit of a weird vibration that you get. And to me, it feels like the strings are just a little duller when you're playing with locking tuners. Again, crazy, tinfoil hat. So I swapped those out for just regular non-locking Rotomatic tuners. So with all those different things and different changes and stuff like that, this has been like an extremely solid guitar. There was a while where I could not play any guitar other than this and my traditional. I just did not want to. I had to go out and, like, if you look at the history of the channel, all of a sudden I had a Strat and I had a Telecaster. The reason I did that was I had to try and break myself out of playing only this guitar and my Les Paul traditional 120th anniversary. So it's been an extremely solid guitar. It's just as of late where I've switched to the reissues because I've gotten a little more nerdier and again more broke because of it. That's really why you haven't been seeing this on the channel. Now, one of the best things about this particular guitar here, not the model, but this particular guitar here, it has been played. So it is something where, like, the true guitar nerds out there, a lot of us are not a big fan. Like, I like the ultralight or light Murphy Lab aging, but when it comes to like the heavy stuff, it just seems weird and it seems unnatural. It just seems there's, you know, you're buying a story that doesn't really exist on a guitar. So you're buying a guitar that doesn't really have any history, but it's supposed to actually show that it has. It seems weird. I'm nuts. We're all crazy. But with this guitar, because it has been played, it has aged in all of the right spots. So it actually has like the Murphy Lab kind of treatment to it, but naturally rather than, you know, simulated. So with all of that, I want to take a look at some of the different things here. So if you look at the front of the body, and it's going to be really hard for me to get, but you'll actually see that there's some like wear spots here, some like little, they are either like little scratches and then the finish is worn off a little around it. There's not really a ton of like big checking except for here on the cutaway, on the top of the cutaway, there's a little bit of that. But if you look at the back of the guitar makes some people drool. Just because I think a lot of it has to do with James Hetfield. I swear to God, it just has a lot to do with James Hetfield. Because you can see that this was played a lot and there was a lot of that person's sweat. So you'll actually see that the finish is naturally coming off on the back of the guitar here. And that's just something that a lot of, like you'll see that's usually where a lot of the simulated aging starts on guitars. And then of course what you get with most Les Pauls is around the control cavity. You'll see little nicks and stuff like that. I think that's usually because the control cavity here, like the plate that's on the top, if it's in there a little too tight, because the wood expands or contracts, whatever. If it's in there a little tight, usually if someone puts a screwdriver in there, like a flathead screwdriver, and they pry it up once they take all the screws off. I think that's why that happens. But also on the bottom of the guitar here, you'll actually see where some of the like the yellowing has come off and it's become white on the back binding. So that's something, again, that's very, very natural and is generally simulated with the Murphy Lab stuff. And this is going to be very, very, very hard for me to get because I have to get the right lighting. But the back of the neck and the back of the headstock have so much checking on it, it's ridiculous. On the back of the headstock, you can actually see where the previous player, maybe he played a lot of E chords, I'm not sure, but you can actually see the thumb mark at the bottom of the headstock where it meets the top of the neck, like around the nut of the neck. So you can actually see that the finish has worn off here. And in some pictures, it looks like it was like a headstock break, but once you see it in person and stuff like that, you can definitely tell it's just the finish that's coming off. But look at that checking on the back of the headstock. And it also goes like down the back of the neck. But again, very, very, very hard to actually get video of it. I wouldn't want to neglect here to mention the typical thing that you would see, like where the binding of the neck meets the binding of the body. You'll see that there's a little bit of checking there, and as well the typical, like where the neck pocket or the neck heel meets the neck pocket, you'll see like the finish has a little bit of checking there as well. That's just, you can get that on like a 3-year-old Gibson because the way that nitro finish works and the way that the body kind of expands and contracts. And the last aging spot that I want to take a look at is the front of the headstock. So you'll see what's typical over the years when it comes to like the inlaid Gibson logo and the diamond inlay here. You start to see that, like, because it's something that's cut out and then they put the inlays in there, it over time it shrinks and expands the wood with the changing of the seasons and such, and that's where you generally get the cracking of the Gibson logo and like anything that's inlaid on the top of the headstock. But that's it for like really information on the guitar. There's no way I could sit here and debate whether or not this is a good guitar or not. It's a fantastic guitar. It used to be a part of me, something that I had to play at all times, and I had to force myself into buying other guitars to try and get myself out of that trap of only playing this and my traditional. Again, ruby red. It's very hard to find guitars that have this, or the Les Paul Customs that have this color. I've been, over the last little while, I've been selling off some of my guitars just so I can switch everything over to custom shop. And I have this at the bottom of my stairs when you come down to my basement studio, and 9 times out of 10, everyone comes in with their, couple of $1,000s to buy whatever guitar, and they usually see this and they're like, how much? I want that guitar. And a lot of people say, I want that guitar because of that color and because of that headstock. So it's definitely a head turner. And it also has that like showcase edition on the back of the headstock I forgot to mention as well, just to indicate that it was a limited one and a special edition. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.